What's happening, everybody? Good afternoon to y'all. Once again, and as always, this is your man, the dude, Intergalactic Brew, coming at you once more, one more again, with another sports video. This time, we're going to be talking about some MMA, baby. That's right. Personally, one of my favorite sports in the world. That's right. We got some MMA coming up tomorrow, actually. It's going to be from Strikeforce. You know, that other little company that's trying to give the UFC a run for their money. Yeah, that one. Well, anyway, they're going to be presenting probably what most people are saying is a very overlooked card, which I do agree with, minus maybe 2 fights. Yeah, 2 fights at the most. But anyway, this card will feature 2 very good, tough, exciting fighters in the main event. It's going to be for the welterweight championship of the world in the Strikeforce, the welterweight division. Nick Diaz versus Evangelista Cyborg Santos. Now, for all of you newbies out there, all of you first-timer MMA watchers, if you don't know who Evangelista Cyborg is, he is the husband of the current women's middleweight champion, Christiane Cyborg Santos. You know, the chick that's just been basically drilling a hole through her division with everybody that steps in there with her. Yeah, that chick. But anyway, before we get to that fight, let's talk about some other matchups that's on the card. Okay? First match I want to talk about is a match that will feature youth versus experience. It's going to be Trevor Prangley versus Roger Gracie, as we all know now. Not Hodger, but Roger. And yes, he does hail from the world famous Gracie family. That's right. Roger Gracie will be making his second MMA appearance in Strikeforce, and this fight here, I gotta tell you, it's gonna be an uphill battle for him. Trevor Prangley is a very good, wait a minute, no, not even very good. He is a stellar wrestler with decent knockout power in his hands and a wealth of experience. This guy has fought all over the globe, and the list of guys that he's fought in his past time probably won't be able to get through all the names in this video here. Maybe another time. But anyway, Trevor Prangley is going to try to use his experience, his wrestling, and most importantly, his knockout power to try and stop the ever-growing hype or build, whatever you want to call it, of Roger Gracie. Now, Roger Gracie, unlike most of the Gracies, is not worried about his family name. He's not worried about defending his family name. This guy just wants to go into MMA and make an impact and hopefully win a championship in the process. That's all this guy is worried about. That is the only mindset, that is the only focus that this guy has right now. He says, I know I'm a Gracie, I know I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm not worried about coming in here and defending my family name. I know where I come from. I come from great roots. That's already a given. The only thing I'm worried about is going in here and beating this guy Prangley and doing it in spectacular fashion. That's all. So, let's break down the fight itself. Okay, you got Roger Gracie, who stands about maybe 6'2" or 6'3" inches tall. So he's already got the reach advantage. And he's very, very long. Almost like how Anderson Silva is. He's very long. He's got very long legs. And you can bet that he's going to want to use that size and that length somewhere in this fight. Particularly if the fight goes to the mat, which is a big possibility. Now, Trevor Prangley, since he's the smaller guy in this fight, that'll more than likely give him the edge in speed and probably conditioning as well. Because Roger Gracie's last fight, we did see him get tired in the middle or maybe throughout maybe the last round of the Kevin Randleman fight. But he was still able to get the win, but his conditioning, it started to sap towards the last round of the fight. So hopefully Roger Gracie has been working on his conditioning for this fight so that he could go full tilt and put on a very impressive performance. Now, what Trevor Prangley is going to have to do in this fight, since he will be the quicker, smaller man, is he's going to have to close the distance, and he's going to have to use his combinations, maybe circle around to Roger's right a lot, being that Roger Gracie is a southpaw. He's going to have to circle to Roger's right and use the leg kicks often, and basically just try to outwork Roger Gracie and make him get tired like he did in his last fight with Kevin Randleman. Because one thing Kevin Randleman was able to do with Roger Gracie throughout the early parts of that fight was he was able to keep the pressure up on Gracie, and that was one of the things that made Gracie run out of gas, because Kevin Randleman forced the action in the opening moments of the fight. So if Trevor Prangley can capitalize on that aspect of what Kevin Randleman did in Gracie's last fight, then he might have a chance to win this fight. Now, aside from closing the distance, using the combinations, trying to land the right hand, and using the leg kicks, he's going to have to use the footwork as well. He's going to have to move a lot, probably non-stop, move his head a lot, prevent the takedown. I know probably Roger is going to try to put him up against the fence and dirty box him a little bit. Go for takedowns as much as possible. And more than likely he'll try to get that dominant position and try to work his BJJ magic from there. From what I heard, if Roger Gracie gets on top of you, it's sort of like a dead end, pretty much, because he is, I think, the top sport jiu-jitsu fighter in the world right now. So I know Trevor Prangley's a good grappler himself, but he's going to have to respect the takedowns and the mount position of Roger Gracie. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to stuff and defend those takedowns of Roger. You know, he'll probably maybe look to sprawl, maybe, you know, since he is a good conditioned athlete. So yeah, it's gonna get real interesting if Roger pins Prangley up against the fence. So Trevor Prangley, he's going to have his work cut out for him, because you know that Roger's going to be using that jab a lot since he is the taller, bigger man. So Prangley's going to have to do all he can, you know, to prevent this fight from going to the mat. He's going to have to keep the fight standing. I know he'll try to keep the fight standing, because I recently saw in an article on Strikeforce.com, Trevor Prangley said that Roger's never been hit. So that kind of gave you a clue right there that he's going to try to make this a striking match and try to knock out Roger Gracie. If Trevor can take Roger Gracie down, that's possible. I don't know how Roger Gracie's takedown defense is. Hopefully it's good enough to fend off Trevor Prangley's takedowns. Even though Trevor probably won't go for any real powerful double legs or anything of that nature, more than likely he'll probably grab a single up against the fence or clinch him up and try to work some knees to the body or something along those lines. I don't know. But if Roger Gracie's defense with takedowns is any good, he'll try to want to use that, because you can bet Trevor Prangley's going to try to take him down somewhere in this fight, you know. And I heard recently that Gracie's been working with GSP, so the takedown defense might come in handy. But overall, could Trevor Prangley pull it out? Yeah, he could, but I just think that Roger Gracie's grappling pedigree is going to overwhelm Prangley, and I think that jab is going to be too much for Prangley to handle. And I do believe that Roger Gracie will end up getting this to the ground, and I can see him submitting Prangley somewhere, maybe the late first, early second round, by submission, probably maybe an arm bar or arm triangle, something along those lines. But I do believe that Roger Gracie will win this fight. But it wouldn't surprise me if Trevor knocked him out, because Roger Gracie's chin has been kind of suspect, and we saw glimpses of that in the Kevin Randleman fight, so look out for that. Okay, next fight we have is the middleweight title between Robbie Lawler, the ruthless one, and Jacare Ronaldo Souza. This fight here, you know, your typical styles clash, grappler versus striker, both world class. You know, this is really going to be a big test for Robbie Lawler. I think this is all going to showcase how good he is with a very well experienced BJJ fighter in Souza. Souza does have very good takedowns for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter. He has worked on his wrestling. He has a very good guard, but more than likely he will try to get the mount and try to pull off some submissions from there. The striking, as far as Jacare is concerned, it's decent, but it could still get better. But it is ever evolving, though, because he has been working with Anderson Silva and, you know, all those other guys down there at Black House. So his striking will look crisp in this fight, I will say. But I would suggest he stand up with Robbie Lawler, because Robbie Lawler is on a whole nother level with striking, as we've all seen in his previous fights. So we know what Jacare's game plan is. It's no secret. He wants to get this fight to the mat, where Robbie Lawler will be in no man's land. Now, at the same time, Robbie Lawler does have pretty good takedown defense. We've seen glimpses of it in the Jake Shields fight before, you know, he got dragged to the ground basically by Jake Shields and got completely owned and got armbarred. So basically, Robbie Lawler, he'll need to be cautious of what strikes he throws in this fight. You know, I wouldn't suggest throw leg kicks, even though that would be the smart thing to do. But I don't know. But what Robbie Lawler needs to do is he needs to stuff the takedowns early and as often as possible, and try to keep this fight standing. Jacare, he needs to shoot often and early and keep Robbie Lawler on the ground, which I do think will end up happening eventually. And I do see Jacare winning this fight probably somewhere in the third round by arm triangle choke. Now, unfortunately, I have gone over in this video, so I will continue the second portion of the Strikeforce card in my next video, so y'all stay tuned for that.